All right, and we're live with the Brandon Hallser show. We have guests today, Stonebender, and we are Dust. So, how are you all doing? We'll start with Stonebender.
Good, good man. Just sitting here watching the rain. A little
What you
humid over here in upstate New York. A lot
oh,
of humidity.
really? Um, what y'all's temperature been today?
It feels like I don't even know. It's pretty sticky out, But it was cloudy and rainy, so
Oh, okay. How are you, Dust?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I guess it might be humid here. I should look at. I don't do humid a lot. It's always a dry heat around here, but it does feel a little bit moist, and it's really hot. So, um, well,
Do you mind to say? I don't know if you don't want to say
I'm in
state.
Western Washington.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're kind of not. Are you talking about DC or
No,
Washington?
no, yeah, way away from you. I'm in Western
Oh,
Washington State.
oh, okay. Yeah, it's been pretty warm here too, and we've been having a lot of weird rain. I mean, I'll tell you that like the whole day will be beautiful, okay,
Uh-huh.
and then when the evening comes, I mean, all of a sudden just all kinds of clouds hit, and then I mean it is pouring. I mean, just pouring within a few seconds. I mean, it's not even normal rain. I guess you can attribute that to the cloud seeding, if you want to call it that, or where they're messing with the clouds. I mean, I truly think that probably has something to do with it.
Well, that kind of sounds like very normal rain to me. But again, I'm in Western Washington State, and so if it's not normal for you, then I understand.
No, I mean, normally a rain around here started, it would start slow and, build into a heavy rain. But I mean, it starts out always anymore immediately a hard, hard rain. And
Wow.
then, it will kind of lighten up.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
I've noticed some strange weather in New York State here too. It's like a slow process. I mean the chemtrails, whatever they are. I mean, I don't really pay much attention to that anymore. But I started noticing in around 2009, where I am in upstate New York, and I noticed it by eye first, and then started like looking online to see if anybody was talking about it, and then bang, all of a sudden I'm watching what in the world are they spraying, and who in the world is spraying. A couple different documentaries regarding that type of stuff, and yeah, a lot of the weather. I mean, they started doing stuff like that back in the 40s and 50s, I think, with trying to manipulate the weather. So who can you can imagine what they can do today if they started way back then. And I think that some of this weather, that's a little odd for certain areas, could be maybe not they're directly doing it in that area, but if they're changing things for whatever reason in other areas, be it politics or money, trying to dry up some area and have very little rainfall or more rainfall, then that means the weather in other places, I would think, my opinion is that it's a byproduct of we're getting more or less of something because they're doing something man-made and designed in one area, and everything's connected, so it must affect everything.
Yeah.
right, right. I mean, and the thing that bothers me about what they're putting in the clouds is all these, metals, especially the aluminum. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why Alzheimer's has,
Yeah.
shot through the roof. I was at the doctor's day, and I started talking to my doctor, and I used the word cloud seeding because I didn't want to sound like a nut because I know the type of guy he is. He's kind
Pretty
of
pretty slick, man. Pretty
yeah,
slick.
he's sort of a no nonsense type of guy. So he was a firefighter and he was a pilot in the army, and now he's a doctor. But I brought that up and I said, well, they found out that they're putting aluminum and something bromide. I had it on my mind then, and I actually said some things to him, and he's like, well, I've never heard that. I really don't think any of that's been proven. And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure that it has been proven. I said, Doc, has Alzheimer's not, dramatically increased in the last, 15 to 20 years? And he said, well, the studies show that it has increased, quite a bit, but, I've never heard anything about this aluminum and all that. And, I just kind of left it alone after that. Maybe I put a bug in his ear and, maybe he'll check into that and see that, I knew what I was talking about on it.
The doctor hadn't heard about aluminum being connected with Alzheimer's?
No, he had heard of it being connected, but he had not heard of it, being a part of the them, cloud seeding or all that. He hadn't heard anything about that. He kind of thought that was a myth,
Oh.
So
maybe he'll look into it, huh?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The way that I've learned with these conspiracy theories, and even especially the Mandela effect, is it's better to plant seeds and just see what
Yes.
see what comes of it instead of pressing people into what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, man.
So Stonebender, I can't remember exactly where we left off. But you were telling some some really interesting things about I know that you were talking about that when you found the Lord, and that and then we went into some backmasking talk. If you just want to start anywhere, because a lot of people probably didn't hear that broadcast. I'd be more than willing to hear it again, and I'm sure the viewers that are listening right now will probably get a few more. Would love to hear it.
Sure, man. I guess what I was just saying was it was just kind of a slow process, because that's kind of part of my testimony. I mean, if I were to stand up in front of people that aren't into these subjects at a regular church, let's say, and give them my testimony, they might give me some pretty weird looks, but I feel comfortable definitely doing it here, because it did have to do with, pretty long background of looking into these different things that you hear about, and maybe people brush them over and hear a little bit about it. And, a lot of them aren't really healthy to get into, as far as, it does lead people down into kind of a spiral, because the more stuff you find out, the more terrible the world looks in a way. But a lot of these things are for real. And I think it was ultimately for good, because it did lead me into the scriptures. I just couldn't deny the fact that there are these societies in our world that get together and they plan things out, and it's easy to think, hey, well, this one's left and this one's right, and this one dresses different and has other customs because they're from another country. And, these people in America are all suited up and they're in our culture, and they dress different and they speak different. But these two different groups, no matter where it is in the world, their ideology, from Freemasons to Jesuit priesthood, their ideology trumps all other political debates. Like I don't know how a lot of people don't see that. You can go into a Freemasonic lodge and you can bring any holy book with you, from what I understand, and as long as it's you have a belief in a God and it's one God, then you can bring your holy book and you can speak about that. It doesn't matter what age you are or political affiliation or anything like that. And you would think that, well, gee, that sounds like acceptance. They're very accepting of other people, except I don't know if it is, because I think they're, just by the very nature of a secret society, it's what they're doing is kind of rejecting a lot of things, really, instead of accepting them. And it has to do with the majority of the people in the world. And when they get together, on those lower levels, they do have organizations that do charitable work and stuff like that, but that's just window dressing. A lot of Freemasons, I would say, are just window dressing for their organization, because most of them aren't in the know about a lot of things, as far as I'm concerned. And they tap out those people that maybe have some more influence or more money, and they'll bring them further along on that journey. And they get information and knowledge that we don't know about, that even people that look into secret societies and stuff, even the most learned people would not know about a lot of these things, because obviously they're secret.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, today's society, I mean, they're so dumbed down and programmed. I mean, they feel like that if they don't see it on TV, then it's not true. If the mainstream media doesn't bring it to them, then it's not true. And I feel like it's probably the exact opposite. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like maybe a quarter of what you hear on the media has truth to it, but a lot of it is 60 to 75% lies, or has been twisted. The truth has been kind of turned around. And the thing is that, especially with I'm not a big Donald Trump supporter or anything like that. I'm really kind of in between, but he did bring it to the forefront about the fake news, because I mean there is fake news. I mean, a lot of it is just totally fabricated fake news, where they're lying on somebody, or they're just telling so little bit of the truth that it's just not true. I mean, so I have to give
Sure.
him props for that. You know what I mean? But the
Yep, I
thing,
understand that.
yeah. I mean, and I hope that he keeps on the path of exposing these things. I can't say that if he's a Mason, or if he's part of this New World Order or whatnot. But the thing that bothers me about him the most is when they asked him if he has repented and asked God for forgiveness. He
I
said
think I saw that. Yeah.
no, that he's never asked God for forgiveness, which tells me that he's so prideful, or don't know his Bible well enough to realize that you have to repent to make it to heaven. And
Yeah.
go ahead, Dust.
Well, actually, didn't he just? He actually said, um, even more than that. He said, I think if I recall right, he said something to the effect of, um, I don't know that repenting is necessary as long as we just make ourselves better or do better,
Yeah.
or whatever. So
Yeah.
very prideful. Yeah.
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
he said whenever I make mistakes, I just try to fix them and do better.
Yes. Yeah.
According
Yeah.
to his own will, it sounds like,
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Making his own God, sort of thing. Sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of like this new age movement where everybody's a god, and that goes back to the old the original lie from the garden, that if you eat from this apple of knowledge, you will be like a god. You will have powers. That's why God don't want you to eat from this. And it's just the age old lie, and that even leads into transhumanism, where they say that you can be godlike and you can gain all these powers, you can gain all this knowledge. Okay, well, God can give you knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You can get man's knowledge, but you can't get God's knowledge through
Mhm.
transhumanism. I really, truly don't think that, Well, I know that if your mind is moved over to a machine, that is not eternal life.
Nope.
You're going to die still.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still an age-old lie that these silly people that think that they can create their own god or become their own god. They're just still falling for this age-old lie. The devil's playbooks hasn't changed. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you?
Sure, man. The new age. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, that's what I was going to ask you. What do you think about all that?
I would agree with that, man. It's like the new age is just pretty much the old age. It sounds like from just thinking about Trump's comments there with that, it sounds like a balance between, what he said was kind of a balance between if he were to be in a secret society, their ideology, and then what he's saying to the people, most of the people that are watching him and listening to him. It sounds like a balance between, a very political way to answer that question. And he's kind of balancing that between his people and, which I don't mean, conservatives. I mean, if he is part of that script, it's like, they're just experts at doublespeak. I think, when I listen to these guys, and it really was with Obama. It started with me because he was almost like, a lot of things he said when he was president was like almost like triple speak. Like he's answering a question or he's saying something that is in regards to whatever he's talking about on the surface that has to do with America or us or our people. And what I read into that is when he's talking about us, to most people, you think, oh, us, the Americans, us. But I think he's talking about them with a lot of things he said regarding that. When he says us, technically he's not lying or divulging any information, but what he really means is his crew, his people, which kind of go across party lines. I think if I understand it, if I'm understanding it, how that system works correctly with these people that are indoctrinated into that. And the older I get, man, the more I feel like there is no difference between them. Their families have connections. They've had connections since high school. They're all wealthy. And I think that they do go through these different stages of indoctrination into these societies that it's not just, it's not just talk. It's like, it's out there. As far as even the original presidents of the United States, like they don't say it anymore. Like let's say Bill Clinton or something. To me, he would seem like a very obvious candidate to be a Freemason. But nowadays, I think that you have secret Masons that are, they can't really say that on the surface because they know that there's been kind of a backlash against it. And with all the information out there, you can't just say, oh yeah, I'm in this brotherhood and the Freemasons. Like that would be total fuel for people like us to just jump right on them and say, hey, look, they admitted it. Whereas in George Washington's day, it wasn't a big deal to say that. And it's written even on his, his statues. They have busts of him, different places. And before it even says first president of the United States, it says Freemason. So that's more important to them than the first president of the United States.
Right. And what I notice, is they're even trying to backtrack from that and say, well, he wasn't really a Freemason that you read about today. He was just a Freemason of back then, which was more about just building things and stuff like that, and we know better. Because the doctrine hadn't really changed over the last 200 years. It's basically the same thing. And my big thing is more and more, the more that I am awakening to the good and evil of the world, because this Mandela effect was just I believe a wake up call for us that are seeing it to notice what's going on in this world.
Mhm.
because I mean it's really a battle between good and evil. Even if you don't want to frame that in the Christian versus the devil, um, then I truly still believe that it's a battle between good and evil because and right now I believe that the evil is over 50%. I mean, they may be 60% of the population or more. Um, because it just seems like more and more you're seeing Satanism. I'm even seeing black magic in my own backyard, and that was something you would never see around here because I'm in the middle of the Bible Belt. People wouldn't even they wouldn't even think about that type of stuff. So I mean, I truly believe that it's a battle between good and evil. I believe the New World Order is real. Maybe the Illuminati is not, what we think it is, but I also believe that Hollywood is very, very evil. Um,
Oh
and
yeah.
just like you were talking about, and this is something that I want to actually do a video on and talk about even more, is the backmasking in music. Okay, because if these people that put these devilish stuff that in reverse your mind can hear and process, praising the devil, and they truly believe in these things, how can they not believe in God? And why would they not want to be on the winning side? Because we already know that we win in the end.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I just don't understand it, man. I mean, I keep trying to understand it, but I just really don't.
I think they get convinced that there isn't that they don't that we don't that Christ doesn't win in the end. Partly they get some of them get convinced that this is it, that there isn't an afterlife, and then they get convinced that those that do think there might be an afterlife get convinced that that Christ doesn't have victory.
Yeah, I can
Right.
see that. I can see that, Dusty. Definitely. I mean, indoctrination is indoctrination. So if you're in a group for 20 years, let's say, like a society like that, you're going to eventually really believe that. And I think there's some of the highest level members that know that they're going directly against God, and they know that God is real, you know. But the whole thing about their different levels that they go through, it's like they lie to lower members about stuff. They'll lie to them about stuff, and then you get up into some other degree, and they tell you, well, what you learned was a lie, and we lied, we misguided you because of this, and this is really how it is. And who knows, man? You might not know what to believe when you get up to those upper levels, but people get sometimes offended. Like I remember talking to a buddy years ago, and his wife was there, and I was talking about these different groups and stuff, and her grandfather was a Freemason, and I think she got upset because what she got out of it was that I was saying that her grandpa worshipped the devil, and it's not like that all the time. I think a lot of those guys don't know that they're doing that yet. Maybe they're misguided just enough to where their salvation's at risk, but between the lies, I mean, and that's like a microcosm of the political system we have in the world today, in a way, because it's just an indoctrination and lying about this and that, and it seems closely related to the system of politics, and it's got to be because those powerful people are, most of them I would say are into that. They're embedded in that.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, and I mean, just for an example, Pizzagate. I've never ever really talked out on that, and I don't, I don't understand the ins and the outs of that. But I do know that if you take certain words that are supposed to mean, children, girl, boy, trafficking, sex, all this, if you take them words and you switch them out, which are supposed to be a something they found that is like a cipher. and you take them words out for every single one you find. It matches right up to make it to where that you see that there actually is pedos in the government, and we know that there is satanic Hollywood actors that are out there freeing people that had, originally admitted to killing little kids, like at I can't, I think they're called the Memphis Three, something like that. Um, they killed a little boy and raped him, I guess, and drank his blood. But now, supposedly, they were coerced, however you say that, and you know, I just, I just, I just don't understand how anybody can hurt a child. Why would you? I mean, how can anybody take the innocent from a young child? I mean, that's the most pure thing on earth. I mean, you have to be purely evil. But I mean, it just seems like, I mean, I don't know if this is a Mandela effect in itself, but it seems like 3 or 4 years ago that all these, things that maybe even 4 or 5 years ago that maybe weren't real then are real now, like 9/11 even. I wasn't sure if it was a real thing or not a real thing. But now most of the proof is showing that it probably was some type of holographic, airplanes. And this is people coming out in the government that has done these type of investigations their whole life, and they're saying that these planes would not have actually knocked a hole in the building, and the buildings wouldn't have come down the way they came down, and just blah, 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 blah. And, it just makes you doubt everything. It makes you think that we're in some type of script to control us. Uh, that all these things are pre-planned out. And, they're playing such a long game that it's something that, a normal human is not even going to see because it's played out in such a long way. They're playing the long game. They're not playing the game. This happens today and tomorrow, it's over. They're playing a game. This happens today and 30 to 40 years. That's when it's over. And most humans they just can't see that far ahead. Because their head's buried in the sand so far that they don't even see it. And I mean, I don't know where y'all stand on any of that, but if you have anything to add, go ahead.
Werdust, you want to jump in there? I don't want to dominate the conversation here.
No, you go right ahead.
Well, that's something, I looked into, obviously, too. Like September 11th was a big one, and it was a wake-up call for a lot of people. And I think, there's got to be thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people that between then and now started questioning that, looking into it, and it led them right to the Bible too. I mean, if I have that story of conspiracy leading me to the Bible, which led me to Jesus, then there's got to be lots of stories. So it reminds me of, and I couldn't tell you where this is, but all things work for the good of God. Like even terrible things work eventually in the favor of God. God's much more intelligent than Lucifer is, and Lucifer is supposed to be more, many times more intelligent than human beings. So if he's doing stuff behind the scenes, generation after generation, maybe guiding these people that are indoctrinated into that for, like you say, the long game, then just think of what is God doing? God's working this stuff out to help people too, I think, in a way.
Definitely.
Romans 8:28 is what you were looking for, and we know that all things work together. Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for good for them that love God, to them who are called according to His purpose.
Yeah, for anybody that don't know, Dust, she was a what was it? I mean, you was basically a preacher, right? I mean, or
No, I wouldn't. I taught. I taught youth.
okay,
I gave weekly messages. Yes.
okay,
So, but
but you was very very well versed in the Bible, correct?
I've read the yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I know the Bible. Yeah.
Because I had looked and looked and looked for the actual verse of the lion and the lamb, and I couldn't. I had found a few that were close, but I didn't think they were quite right until until Dust brought it to me, and she told me the right one. I'm trying to bring it up right now, but I for some
Me
reason
too.
my Evernote for some reason is not working correctly. Imagine that.
Well, now I don't have that by heart, but I do have it here. Hang on for just a minute. I gotta figure out where I put it.
I might have it somewhere else too. I don't know why my Evernote ain't coming up. I've noticed though that what they've been doing on my Windows 10, uh, all like my crazy video maker, my free movie maker, and all of those. Okay, well they auto update, right? So
Yeah.
I go back to them and I want to do a video the other day, and I start checking them, and every single one of them is different now, and you just can't do the videos like I was doing them before. Like for every picture that I put up, it has to be a minute and 15 seconds for each
And
one.
I got the chair here.
So it used to be you could set it. I mean, if you wanted to set it at 10 seconds, you could set it at 10 seconds. But now it has to be over a minute for each picture, and it's just very strange. And I don't know if they're trying to make it harder on people doing these videos, or make it to where it's harder to understand, because it took me about 30 minutes to even figure out how to work it again after they updated it.
I
So,
think so. I think you're on the right track with that, Brandon. Can you hear me all right? I
yeah,
switched
yeah,
mics.
yeah, I can hear you.
I think so because, I feel like I've been hearing that all around the same time from E-Man, from lots of different people in the community about, and I'm sure it has something to do with the AI. It's like even on Google Hangouts, some certain people I have on there, I'll say hi to them or something, and then I'll get a response like 24 hours later, and then the next response will be 24 hours later. So I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
Sure they're probably, and I think it's all a lot of keyword stuff and algorithms. I'm sure there's not people sitting and listening to stuff, but you probably get set into a certain category if there's certain keywords you say. And and luckily, for now, we still have YouTube. I mean, look, it's an amazing way to get information out there for people to connect, but it's just this little tiny app on your
right.
phone. It's not even really a real thing. Like somebody else really has all the switches and
Hmm.
controls to that, but it
Yeah.
is a public forum. So I guess they can only edit things so much because it's, there's all kinds of other stuff out there, big channels and that don't have to do with any of this stuff.
Oh yeah. And we would have had a lot more viewers. I didn't even think about it, but Scott Harrison's on right now, and then I think after him, Mandela Effect comes on. So probably probably ain't going to have a whole lot of people, but I think that a lot of people will go back and watch this
Yes,
because
probably.
we have Stonebender is, he has really good insight on things, and
Hmm.
especially you, Dust. I mean, I love having you on. Me and you had some really, really good live streams together, and I definitely appreciate both of y'all coming on.
Thanks, Brendan.
Um,
I'm
Yeah.
honored, man, to be on here. And we are Dust. It's great talking to you again. You
Yeah.
have a great, clear voice. I remember last time when I talked to you with Armor on the phone or Google Hangouts or whatever. Um, I'm jealous of people who have clear voices because I have like kind of a lisp sometimes.
I don't hear it.
no,
Oh, huh. Well, maybe it's just his dumb New York accent.
Oh well, I hear a crisp New York accent. Nothing dumb with those or anything.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Werdust. I love seeing you in the chats all the time.
Yeah, good to see you there too.
Um, so let's talk about a little bit about backmasking. I know that you're into it also, and it has affected what you listen to, and restricted you quite a bit. I know me myself. I am so paranoid about it now that I realize, because I downloaded an app, okay, and I started checking a lot of the music I listen to, and you would not believe all the stuff I found in it, even if it was just a few words here and there. I mean, it was really unbelievable. I mean, that's why I've been talking about making a video about it, because I mean, it's been proven that anything that plays in reverse, your mind hears that and turns it around, and it's subliminally, in your mind after that. So,
Oh yeah.
this is a thing that is real, okay? And a lot of it, I'm not even sure that if the artist is able to, do all these things, especially when they're singing just a normal song, and then they've got a whole sentence in reverse praising the devil. To me, that's another proof that the devil is real, and that he's influencing these people, because 9 times out of 10, I don't know if you've done the research on it much about what they say, but they all say that they kind of like go into this trance. They hear a humming noise. And when they go into this trance, all of a sudden, then they'll come to, and a whole song is wrote, the whole thing.
Oh,
And they don't even remember writing it at all.
Wow.
Okay.
I've heard that about Beyonce.
I'm talking tons and tons of them.
Hmm.
And no, I hadn't heard that, Professor Three. The Yes We Can. What does it say in reverse? But
Oh,
I'll
thank you, Satan. Yeah, I've heard that one. That was from years ago. Yes, we can, and you could do it on a keyboard or something yourself. Like his whole slogan.
really.
Yes, we can. It's so obvious. Backwards, anybody can try this on a keyboard that just reverses a little sound bite. Yes, we can. He's got tons of people saying it. Yes, we can. Thank you, Satan. That's exactly what it is. I could do it right now. I have a keyboard. It's in storage, but it's just a little clip, and anybody can try that with Obama's slogan. And that's, that I think has to do with Aleister Crowley's law of reversal, where he made his disciples, learn how to speak backwards and think backwards. And he was photographed with every leader, world leader at the time for decades. Like there's pictures of that guy with a pyramid on his head. With he didn't have the pyramid on his head like this hat thing he wore
Yeah, yeah.
with the
Aleister
in the
Crowley.
photos. But yeah, but he was photographed with every world leader, big or small, for decades. You could find those pictures online, and it's just it's just the same thing we have today in Hollywood, except it's on a bigger scale with music. And I think some of these artists are in the know about it, and some aren't. But it doesn't matter if it's on their album and on their track. It gets into people's minds, and that's what I was telling you before, Brandon. It's like that concept has just changed music. I just can't really listen to it. And like I heard you had said you're a musician too, and it's even a little sadder when somebody who plays learns about this stuff, because it's like that's a fun outlet, and you can still do it. I mean, I don't as much anymore just because I'm busy, but just one person and an acoustic guitar, that's not going to hurt you. But a lot of these groups, whether they're uh, like R&B or metal or probably any kind of music nowadays, if they have the certain what are they called, the people that are in charge of the musicians, their agents and stuff. Well, their agents are right, but who are they working for? Because one agent can have maybe 30, 40 different artists, big artists, that they're responsible for. So you have that one tainted agent saying, "Hey, let's put this in the album. Let's do this. I have my sound guy. He's going to clean up your album." Well, sure, go ahead. I mean, you're giving me millions of dollars here. Yeah, do some, put an extra track or whatever, do a little echo or something. But that's where that backmasking gets slipped in there, I think, because it only takes a couple of people in a studio to edit something before it goes out, and now you have all kinds of people listening to it. And then even on the surface, this music, what they're saying forward, in a lot of these R&B songs, a lot of rap songs, is completely superficial, derogatory towards women. It's about money. It's about getting money. Openly, they're talking about pills and drugs now in a lot of these songs. And so on the surface, you have that stuff that's working into these young people and making them feel entitled to, oh, everybody's going to grow up to be a millionaire, and I'm going to have my entourage and my Jaguar and stuff. So on the surface, it's superficial and dangerous, and then behind the scenes, underneath on a another kind of subconscious level, it's damaging too.
Oh yeah,
I really believe that, man.
And I don't know if y'all, Stairway to Heaven. I mean, like the whole song is like filled. If you play it backwards. I mean, I'm not talking like one or two words. It's like the whole song is talking about Satan. I mean, and 666 is in it. Uh, and the part where he says, "There's." What does he say? And it makes me wonder. That right there is there's no escaping it, and then it goes into something about the Zep and Satan and 666. I mean, and it's like so clear. It's like totally unbelievable. And then when you watch the song remains the same, where they played live the concert. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I mean, either one of y'all. But I am
I've heard that
because
before, way back, like the Stairway to Heaven thing. But this is way back before I even got into any of this stuff,
yeah.
and
Well,
I didn't really.
the song remains the same was a concert they done. It was also an album or maybe a song. I can't remember. But he has a bow where the guitar player is playing with the bow, and he's the one that bought Aleister Crowley's house and owns the largest satanic library.
Really?
Um, yeah, I mean they're all highly satanic, but he actually does what's in Aleister Crowley's book to do a spell. You have to take your wand, which is he's using a what you use on a bow to play the guitar. Okay, so it's like it kind of looks like a wand. Well, you have to go east, north, west, south. You have to do that 3 times. He does that 3 times exactly in the middle of playing The Song Remains the Same. And that is spell casting in front of millions of people when they have no idea what's going on. No idea. I'm sure
Wow,
you
man.
can look it up, man. I'm sure that you can get on YouTube or anywhere and look up The Song Remains the Same. You know, I can't think of his name, the lead guitar player, cast a spell on stage. I'm sure it would come right up. So I mean, you really ought to check that out. I don't know. I don't think I. Well, I might be able to do it actually.
Was that Led Zeppelin or some band like affiliated with them?
No, it was Led Zeppelin. I think I can do it, and you won't be able to hear it, but you'll be able to see it. So let me see if I can pull it up. Led Zeppelin. Song remains the same. Spell casting. That's what we got here. A song remains the same. I'm seeing some, but it's not. I don't think it's it. No, I got to see the one with the bow. I got to find the one where he's playing with the bow. I'm looking. If y'all want to, you can talk while I'm looking. I'll find it.
Hey Dusty, did you change your avatar picture?
I have a different avatar for when I'm on the show so that my whole face isn't right.
Oh,
I
okay.
say
I
that,
never
and then
saw
both of you guys have your whole face right there. I didn't mean that like that, but yeah. So I just didn't want. Yeah, I have a different one from in chat and than what I
Yeah,
have.
that's cool. I just wasn't sure. It's a nice
Yeah,
picture of the ocean there.
yeah. That is taken out of a place called the Sea Lion Caves on the Oregon coast. The at That's at the end of a tunnel there, inside the cave, and at the other end of that tunnel, it opens into a huge cavern that's inside, and the water, the shore, or the waves come inside the cavern there, and it fills up with sea lions when they're mating at a certain time of year. I think it's in the fall. I'm not sure. Um,
That's cool.
yeah, so that's where that's at.
Okay. So we got going on here.
You can look way back in the background on those two hills
Oh,
way
damn
back
work.
there. I believe there's a lighthouse back there too.
Got to watch those sea lions though. They look like puppies, but they'll snatch your kid or your dog right off the dock.
Oh, I'm not going near any of those guys. No way.
Watch out
Oh,
for them.
we have them around here, and let me tell you, those guys are lazy, but big and kind of creepy or scary looking.
Okay, this don't look like he's got the right clothes on, but we'll find out if he does it.
I'm going to be honest with you. When I don't watch things like this, so I'm just going to look away while you play it. I also don't do the Laurel and whatever Yanny or whatever. I never listen to that either. I just don't do it. If
I don't even know what that is. So
I don't, yeah,
the Laurel or whatever you're saying.
yeah, yeah. Where it sounds different for different people, I guess, or something like that.
Are y'all able to hear that or something?
I I haven't. You mean what you're playing right now? I don't hear what
Yeah.
you're playing right now. No, I don't hear it.
I'm gonna try to fast forward.
Anything? I don't hear it. I saw it. It popped on. It's on the
Yeah.
main center of the screen here.
Okay. Let me try to fast forward a little bit, so she don't have to look away for too long. I mean, because there ain't much.
It's okay. I don't.
No, I know what you mean about that, Dusty, that Laurel and Yanni thing, because to me it was just like a mainstream thing to,
It's weird.
in a way, debunk the Mandela effect for any
Or
people
something. They're
that.
obviously, yeah. They had something going on with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not down with that whole we can create our own reality kind of
No.
Mandela effect thing. That's just old
Okay.
age, new age BS, in my opinion.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
this
is.
ain't
If
the right
people can
one.
create their own reality, then where's the story about people creating a loved one coming back to life or a huge mansion? You know, if we can create our own reality, then who was responsible for changing the
That's the
JCPenney's
one.
logo or South America?
You
This
know,
is all
if we
stuff
can
that we
create
don't
our
do.
whole own reality, are you kidding me? The things I could list that would not be in my reality or have happened in my life. It's just not even. There's nothing believable about that idea at all.
There it is. Okay. That's him spellcasting. It's in the Aleister Crowley book. For people that don't believe that goes on. I mean, they do these
Well,
I
things
mean,
on stage, you know. I mean, I mean, this is back in the '70s, so you know, even back then, they were getting to where they were, you know, fearless. They were doing
yeah,
things.
man. I mean, even Ozzy wrote a song about it. Mr. Crowley
Yeah,
was one of Ozzy's songs. I think he was with Black Sabbath at the time, and he was talking about Aleister Crowley. He's like putting it right out there. Metalheads, when I was in school, knew about that, you know, but they don't know how to do it properly. They might know enough about it to be on the wrong path, but these people that really know what they're doing are the ones that you got to worry about, you know?
right. Yeah, I mean, he obviously does because he does not make any bones about that he worships Aleister Crowley and follows his teachings. I must have just caught the end of it there, but I don't know. Did y'all see what I was, or did you see it, Stonebender? What I was talking about with him pointing to the different directions, all four directions. There's one right
Yeah.
there,
Yep. Yep.
and then he hits it
I'd
again.
never heard
There he
about that.
goes. And then he hits it again. There he goes. He hits it twice every time. That's got something to do with it too. And that's spellcasting. And it's
Wow.
actually in the Aleister Crowley book. I mean, so I ain't gonna keep playing it because I don't want Dust to have to keep looking away.
I'm good. I'm good.
So
You
so
you
we'll
make the points you need to make.
so we'll hit stop here. But
I
yeah,
think the Holy Spirit can protect us from certain things,
Oh yes,
certain
absolutely.
people.
I 100% agree. I do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's just like the people, the humans that have that power, but they're taking their cues from these demonic forces, but those forces don't have as much power as you would think. But when they're given that power to human beings in high positions that do have that power, then that's where the problems for us really come from, in
hmm
my opinion. You know.
right.
Yeah. Well, we do have more power in Christ, that's for sure. And I know for a fact that I mean I do feel that there's been like some sort of covering over me that's protected me from certain things through my life and in that. But also, if I feel like, you don't need to tempt it either. So for me personally, that's just me personally though.
Right, right. I mean, I totally agree with that. I was reading here that Mary Lane wrote that she saw Elvis doing a ritual before a concert in a video. Mary Lane, if you can find that, please, when you get done with our show, would you please link that in a description so I could have a look at it? Because I'm actually a big Elvis fan, and the more that I've been, looking into Elvis, I've really been finding things that are very, very disappointing. But I'm not sure that they're not Mandela effects because, like I've said in the past, uh, the Elvis that I remember before he died, he was a lot heavier than the Elvis now. At least by, I'm gonna say, 40 to 50 pounds, even maybe. He was just a lot heavier, and his face looked different.
Hmm.
I don't know how to explain it. He just looks different in the face when he gets older, especially. And I heard something where Elvis was using GD like it was his favorite word. I mean, it was truly unbelievable. And I was always, in it. And this right here could be media making people think that he was this guy. But I always thought that he was a Christian. He had problems, okay, but
hmm
he wasn't perfect by no means, but he was a Christian. Uh,
hmm
the new storyline, which it seems like there's always a storyline to these Mandela effects. They start out as an effect, and as time goes on, there's more and more of a story added to them.
hmm
So, maybe it's all a storyline, and Elvis truly wasn't this demonic as they're making him out to be, because supposedly now that he didn't believe in the Christ of, what we believed. He believed that everybody was Christ. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I
Huh.
mean, and that right there is coming from his half brother. So, and he's actually a preacher. So I don't know why, that man would lie about his half brother that he was, and he was part of the Memphis Mafia too. And a lot of them has come out and said, that Elvis wasn't what people thought he was. But from all my studies over the years, when I totally thought Elvis was the best thing ever, I never run across any of that stuff. And the two things I always thought was really strange is how heavy he was at the end, and then when they put him in the casket, he looked like the Elvis in 1957.
Is that what you remember, or is that
Well,
or what?
well, I actually, well, yeah, that's what I remember. And actually, you can still get the pictures of him in the casket where it looks like even, I mean, even the Memphis Mafia said it looked like a wax figure. And the reason they say the casket was so heavy is because there was an air conditioning unit in there to keep the wax figure from melting.
Hmm.
But also, there's also something they say is that it was a copper casket. So that's the reason that it could be so heavy. But to me, I mean, I just don't understand how they could make him look like the 1957 Elvis. I can pull that up right now. Uh,
Liposuction after death? I don't know.
yeah, maybe. But back in them days, I don't know if they could, really fix him up that good. I mean, I'll show you a picture of it. I should just be able to type in on my. I don't usually use Google. I usually use Bing, or DuckDuckGo, but we'll use this and see. I'll just type in Elvis in casket 1977, and then what I'll do after that is I want y'all to see a few pictures. I've actually showed some before of him in 77 before he died, and it just don't look it. The Elvis I remember was well. I mean, I know I had so many pictures of him in all kinds of newspaper clippings I had to where he was so much heavier. I mean, he just was not uh, a super skinny, or not skinny, but just a tiny, just a dad or a tab overweight instead
Hmm.
of being, he was a lot overweight. Okay.
Yeah, I do recall Elvis being quite a bit overweight in
I
later
remember
years.
hearing
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I remember hearing that when he his health was bad and he was got into the drugs. I remember hearing that he had died kind of overweight.
Right. I mean, he was to me. I'll show you a couple pictures of him right here, to where he's not that overweight at all, and it's these are pictures from '77, and it does not even resonate with me at all. Uh, like right here, this is 2 months before he died. To me, he was a lot heavier than that. I mean, a lot, at least 40 or
That's
50
two
pounds.
months before
Yeah,
he passed.
Yeah,
yeah, I
Oh,
remember seeing him bigger than that.
yeah,
Definitely.
way bigger than that. It
Well, I think
may.
Janis Joplin's got Mandela effect too.
Oh, really?
From what I hear, I don't know. I can't really say I really resonate with that one because I just don't know. It's a little before my time. But some
yeah,
people were
I
saying
do
that.
recall him being heavier than those pictures show.
And this is the last picture of him in the casket. I mean, does that not look like a very very young Elvis? I mean,
It looks like a
Well,
young.
right here. Go
I
ahead.
I saw my grandmother and my mom in after the mortician had been done with them, and neither of them looked like they did when they passed, and they both looked at least 20 years younger and unreal and everything. So I mean, I'm not sure that the
Okay.
pictures in the caskets.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Um,
I'm not a somebody that can say whether or not that's correct or not. I'm just throwing it out there. And this right here, this is Elvis in '77, right before he died. There's a
that
picture of
is
him
right there.
right there too. Yeah, all of
No,
these.
he was
That one
heavier than
ain't.
that.
Yeah, that one ain't. Here, I'll just type in Elvis in '77, not in casket, and yeah, I mean
Oh,
he was a lot heavier than that. I mean, I don't know. I don't. There's no way that all this stuff is photoshopped. I mean, there's just no way. I mean, he has a little bit of weight on him here, but he's not the heavy Elvis that I remember.
Well,
He had a lot bigger gut is my problem with it. I mean, he was big enough to where it was like his whole front side here was swelled up. To me, at least 40 more pounds, I mean. And
Who
I
knows?
could be wrong. I could be wrong, but look at that. That's 77. That's the year he died. I mean, does that look right? I mean,
He definitely
well,
looks a
that
little
there does
slimmer than I
not.
remember.
That certainly looks too slim right there.
what about there? That's 77 also.
Yeah.
All of them look too slim to me. I mean, I found a few that
Yeah,
he's a
too slim.
little heavy, but just not heavy enough, man. I mean, especially it was his last concert, okay? And there was a picture of him, and he was wearing a light blue jumpsuit. That jumpsuit, last concert, is unable to be found. I can't find it anywhere. Like right here, this is more like it, and I think this is photoshopped or has been left over. That's the Elvis I remember right there.
Bigger like that. Yeah, like that one.
Yep, that's him right there. I mean, he
Yeah.
was
Okay.
and you can't. That's the first one I have seen. As a matter of fact, I'm saving that.
Okay. Well, if you look up, there's one with him in a pink shirt, and his face looks about right too. There too.
Okay, let me save this one real quick. All right. Pink
Well, the
shirt.
first thing that pops out to me is the sun symbolism on his outfit there.
Oh,
He
that's
got the Jesuits' sun worship, maybe, since he's in the music industry.
Yeah,
I hate to ruin any more artists for you, Brandon.
No, no. I mean, seriously.
Sounds like you looked into it already ahead of time already. Anyway.
Yeah, and I really thought a lot of Elvis, and that's why I'm kind of. But the problem is that I can't be too skeptical of it because I have remembered this sun outfit. You know what I mean? So.
What about Marilyn Monroe, guys?
Let's check her out. Let's check her out.
She was kind of surprising to me when I first discovered the Mandela effect because
people were saying she's like slimmer.
Oh my gosh, she used to be voluptuous. She had curves, and
Yeah, that's pretty skinny looking. I mean, it's kind of skimpy, but.
And then her middle name, I think, I don't really remember myself, but I heard someone talking about her middle name being spelled differently. Her real middle name, Jean.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know her middle name, but I know that she was supposed to be a size, what would now be a size, gosh, what was it? I can't remember, but she's not anywhere in the, I mean, she used to have a voluptuous figure, like,
yeah, she was curvy. Yeah,
she was curvy. She was not thin. Even her face is so much thinner than I remember it being.
Well, my biggest problem is her mole seems to have moved. Whenever you see people do the Marilyn Monroe mole, it's just right above her right lip at the kind of the end. But now it's way over on her cheek. Do either one of y'all remember that? Seems should be about right here.
Yeah, I thought it was like closer to her lip too, I mean, hey, if they can change the September 11th footage, however they did that,
yes,
I don't know if you noticed
now
that.
That you put, yeah, you're right. It is supposed to be right there.
I mean, look how far over that is. That's crazy. It should be right there. And there was, today I seen one. Okay. Stovetop stuffing. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
What is it? What does it started out with? What's the name of it?
Stofers, right?
Stofers? No.
It's supposed to be Stofers.
It's Sofers.
What is it?
Sofers.
Sofers. They dropped the T out of that too?
No. Brandon, that's not what. It's not even Stouffer's. It's Kraft.
What?
It's not even Stouffer's. I know. I woke up to a little bit of shock this morning when I saw that one. It's Stouffer's no longer made stovetop stuffing ever.
They never made it?
apparently.
Oh my goodness!
Apparently,
It's even the
I have
same
not.
box.
Yeah, I know. It's now Kraft. Is that what we're coming up? Yeah,
Oh my goodness!
yeah.
What's going on?
I don't know. I mean, that one is like that's got to have moms across the country just like
What's
what
going
is
on
going
in the
Right?
on?
kitchen?
What is going on here? This is big. I mean, for me, that was like, what? How could they?
Yeah,
Wow.
It's
nothing really surprises me with the logo changes. Nothing surprises me with that stuff anymore. I hadn't heard about that one, but
I mean, this isn't even
just
like
add
when
it
I
to the
first was
list, you
seeing
know?
the videos, I was like, oh, what letters did they leave off now? What did they, how are the letters connected now? And and I was like, and then I looked at a picture and it said crap, and I was like, no, no, and so I had to watch that video.
Can y'all hear that?
No,
Kraft stovetop. That doesn't look right.
no.
No, nothing about it looks right. I mean, it's
I
wow.
bet Stouffer's now makes macaroni and cheese.
You might be right. Let's look it up.
I want to find out what else they make. I don't know if Stouffer's made anything other than
I
stovetop
had to
stuffing.
sit there and think about it this morning, but they do the Stouffer's Lean
Well,
Cuisine, they do the
oh well,
freezer meals.
oh well. They don't have stuffing. No, at all.
Isn't that just
Wow.
crazy?
Wow.
What's that right down there in the middle? Oh no,
Uh,
that's a refrigerator freezer meal. They do a lot of freezer meals, like they have really good lasagna.
wow. That is unbelievable.
Isn't that just, oh my.
Now that should wake up a lot of people, okay? I mean, seriously.
Anybody
Yeah,
who
I
loves
mean, right.
stuffing.
So, I mean, that's like a staple, right? Stovetop.
Yeah, most definitely.
I
Well,
mean,
the
and it's
crazy
always
part is a lot of them are. A lot of the changes are like mainstream, like big names and the most popular quote in that movie and, stuff that's just right in your face, you know?
yeah. Well, yeah.
Wow. Wow. I don't even
I
know what to say.
I know, I know, I know.
Craft
Sometimes
stovetop.
sometimes they hit you like that, right? Sometimes you're going along fine and you're like, "Oh, okay, I've got this whole Mandela thing, it's okay. It's okay. Reality has changed, but life goes on. It's okay. It's okay." You just go sailing with it, and everything, and then Stouffer's. What?
That's how I felt in the chat the other night when 8 people were like, "Hey, your name's hyphenated now. There's no space anymore." I was like, "What? Oh no!"
Yeah, because I remember your name being one word, and now it's separated.
That's crazy, man.
And you was like, well, that's one of the MEs that I don't see. I said, well, I'm
Yeah,
telling you, man, I've
I
been
don't see that one either. I
really,
I always remember Stone Bender.
really, wow.
Yeah,
Fizzy Pop didn't see it. She always remembered 2 words, you know.
yeah, I
Well,
But you know
did.
what? I'm curious to see that I didn't look into it yet. Is when I was on Cowboys live stream. You know how your name is like yours is now, Dusty. It's like right in the middle. Your name is on the
Yeah.
bottom. Well, it just said Stone, and I remember it because I was excited because it was like the first live stream I was on, and I was
Hmm.
like, "Wow, cool, my name's on there." So I want to take a look back at that because if it wasn't hyphenated at one point, then it's Stone Bender, I guess. But then that's kind of a long word for that little space. So
Yeah. I don't know how they do that.
I'm curious
Uh,
to look back and check that out.
just I mean, I still can't get over the stuffing.
No, I know. I know.
I'll probably have a nightmare tonight
Same.
over the stuffing. Oh goodness. Well, okay. I don't even know
I
where to go from here.
I
Wow.
know.
I mean, I'm
And well, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was thinking this morning when I was kind of, I mean, this really did hit me pretty hard this morning, this Stouffer's one. And I was thinking when I was like, I don't even remember last time I bought it. It might have been Kraft and I didn't even notice. I mean, I, it just blows me away to think about this one. I think I
Yeah.
had that pack that you're showing right there.
That's wild, man. I don't even know what to think about it.
I don't either.
Man, that's something else.
Yeah.
Oh my
Sometimes the
goodness.
logo ones, I'm like, okay, we can just get, I'm not sure about that, or if it's just some slight change or whatever. I don't know. But I mean, there's nothing slight about this. This is pretty dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, because I grew up on eating this stuff. I mean, I made Stouffer's stuffing last Thanksgiving. Okay,
Yeah.
I know that for a fact.
Mhm.
It was
I
Stouffer's stovetop stuffing.
I use it for mock duck, and it's always been Stouffer's as far as I know. So,
Yeah, I think
uh,
this is a pretty recent one. Maybe in the last the change that we had. I don't really like calling them shifts,
I don't either. Yeah, I don't.
but the last round of changes. I truly think this may have been one of them.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, this is brand new
Could
to
be.
me.
There's probably a few other ones maybe at the same time that haven't even been caught yet or something. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
it's
don't like that
probably.
shift idea, that shifty thing. It's a little
Yeah,
shifty to me.
because it goes to shifting timelines and all that, and
Yeah.
I totally don't believe that's what's happening at all.
Me
Uh,
neither, man.
I truly
Me either.
believe it's a wake up call from God.
Yeah.
Uh, and if I lose subscribers or people persecute me for that, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm always going to stand behind my faith.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's what we're supposed to do. I mean, I believe, anyways.
Yeah, once you get into that your reality, my reality game, people that aren't based in scripture can probably get a little
Confused.
crazy over that, a little
Yeah.
confused, a little thinking like, hey, why do I have to go visit my grandma in the nursing home if that's the case? She's either
Well.
a non-player character or she shifted into a different reality or this and that.
Yeah.
We got to be careful with that because people are people.
Yes.
The Bible says there's wheat and tares, and sure, there could be some things that look human that
Mm-hmm.
aren't. I'm not opposed to that idea. Some people's behavior in this world certainly it seems like that could be, but
Mm-hmm.
we're not going to be able to really detect that. I think.
No, and even if
I
you're
mean, if you
talking
can,
about
if it's obvious. I'm sorry.
well, you're talking about the wheat and tares there even too, and even in that parable in the Bible, he says no, let them grow up together. If you tear out the tares, then you could damage the wheat. So let them grow up together, and the harvest they'll separate them at the harvest. So we're not even supposed to
Right.
be trying to separate them right now. I mean, he's going to separate them at the harvest, and to my problem with it is I really have a hard time with this whole non-player character idea because I mean especially it's interesting that that's part of that light and love concept and stuff, but how where's the love in calling people not not real, not human, or not non so basically saying that they're not somebody that you need to take care of or
Sure.
care
That's a
about,
that's a deception almost in itself. It's a dangerous thing to internalize, I think.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I feel like there's more of a divide in the ME community, between people that think it's biblical and people
Yeah.
that may be more into the simulated reality thing. Like there's a channel I like, maybe I won't say it, I don't know the politics of live streams, but it's a pretty decent channel. The guy's a smart guy, and he doesn't talk about ME stuff all the time. But, there's some people that are into this simulated reality idea, and it's not like, for me, it's not like something that's obvious. Like, whoa, with the Mandela effect and this and that, it should be obvious that it's a simulated reality. It's not. It's not obvious that it's some kind of a simulated reality, because there's many other ideas and explanations as to
Yes.
how that could have happened. I think we're all in the same reality, and I think this is a real flesh and blood world.
Yes.
And there's a lot of and anybody can think and say what they want, but when somebody that's pretty smart, that sees the ME, that has a good sense of the false things and stuff that are going on in this world, and they're pushing a certain idea, I don't know, maybe they're writing a book or something eventually.
Hmm. Yeah,
All right.
one thing that, go ahead.
No, 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 go ahead, and then after you get done, I'm gonna do a shout out.
Okay. One thing that I was, kind of saying a little bit to somebody the other day was that, what's really interesting is that once you see the Mandela effect, I mean, for any of us here, like, did it take us like months and weeks to really get convinced of the Mandela effect, or did you like see it and like get, look into it and like all of a sudden you're like, wow, reality's changed?
Immediately, as soon as the first thing I thought is there was, this kid's playing a joke on me because I
Yep,
watched
yep,
the kid and I was like, well, I know all these things to be true, so it has to be playing some type of
a
joke.
trick, yeah,
Yeah, so when I started checking it, and I was like, "What? You
yep,
mean to tell me that Darth Vader didn't say, 'Luke, I'm your father'? You mean to tell
right,
me that South America is really right there when I
hmm,
know that it's 1,200 miles in the other direction?"
exactly.
I mean, you mean to tell me that Shazam is not a movie that I watched when I was young? I mean,
Right.
come
Right, and then they
on.
marched out Sinbad. Did you see that Sinbad
Yeah,
interview?
yeah, yeah.
So Stone immediately, right? You immediately, I mean, with just a little bit of looking into it, you were immediately like, oh my gosh, you
Yeah,
or not. I mean, you tell me. Don't let me put
yeah.
words into your mouth.
No, no, it's true. I think I talked about this real quick last time I was talking to Brandon. Is I was like online, and I was like, wow, that kind of blows me
You
away.
just
This
cut out
does.
for a little bit there, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
okay though. You're
Oh,
back now.
well, yeah. I just looked into it for a few days when I found it a couple years
Hmm.
ago, and then I started getting into a spiral of like, what's going on. But then I was like, you know what? Let me put down the internet for a minute and go check
Yeah.
on this book and this globe.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I heard about the South America thing, and I was looking at the maps. I was like, what? So I was like, well, it's not like that on my globe. My globe's been sitting here. I've had it for 20 years. So I spun the globe around, and that was the moment that things
Yeah.
changed for me. It was in the
Yep.
wrong position, and it was by far. And I was telling Brandon before also, like I had been to Panama years ago, and I sailed there 12 knots. It's not like I flew
Yeah.
over in a plane or something. I was in that country for 3 days, and I knew exactly. I navigated there with the help of other crew and the captain and stuff. But it was my part of my job. We rotated to navigate there, and I was looking at maps, and it was a big experience in my life. I was a young person. It was very memorable. And when I was
Hmm.
in Panama, Panama was a country that went northwest to southeast,
Uh-huh.
and it was due south of eastern Texas, maybe western Mississippi at that time. And now, if you take a plane going due
And it,
south, leaving Florida, you fly right over Panama. So my question with that is, yeah, it's about 1,000 miles, but I can't get high up in the sky enough to see if the physical continent of South America has changed. I don't know anybody in South America to bounce this off of, and you know, I know the map has changed. So if they can change physical reality, the internet's easy. Google would be easy for the powers to change things and change maps
But the books, the
and all
older
that
books
stuff.
even,
But
are all changed.
yeah, old books, old maps. I checked
Yeah.
older maps and stuff, and it's like that. So it's physical reality can be altered. Then why isn't that a legitimate concept as opposed to the simulation theory?
Yeah.
You know, why does it have to be simulated?
Well, and that's going to bring
Maybe
me
they
right
could just
back to my
program in.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I brought my phone back 100 years ago, people would think that's magic, and it's not. It's technology.
Yeah.
But you know, the things that they have that we don't know about, the technologies that they have, is just simply a technology that we don't know about,
Uh-huh.
and we'll probably never know exactly how it happened. But
So my point with asking about, how quick it was before you became convinced of the Mandela effect when you started seeing it. I mean, for me, it happens pretty quick. As soon as you see like those books, once the books that you look at are changed, and the license, or I mean the Ford symbol on your actual vehicle is different, and stuff like that. It's like, wow, you're living in, you understand that something real is happening here. And so that's my point in that, is that with some of these other things that we talk about, um, we're talking mostly right now about the simulation theory and stuff like that, but you can apply this to almost any of them. uh, we know that the Mandela effect is real. Us here together, we know that this is real. We've been rocked by it. Our world's been shaken by it, and we know it's real. Um, so I guess that's kind of a standard that I think that maybe we should be hoping to apply to. The truth is like that. It's not something that you have to spend years researching to come to a conclusion about. Me personally, the first time I saw the 9/11, information and stuff like that, it didn't take me long to figure out what was going on with that. And so, my point is that, um, well, I was applying this to flat Earth, is how people take forever to decide about, or to research, and I've looked into this for years and years and years. Well, you don't have to look into the Mandela effect for years and years and years, and immediately what that it's the truth and that it's happening right now. And so I kind of what I'm my point is that, um, I'm not saying that every truth has to be that quick and clear and crisp to us, but that should be a metric that we kind of go by. Do we
sure.
really, you know it takes years, it should take years to seek out the Lord, his heart, and everything like that. But some of this other stuff, I think we can figure it out a little quicker.
Right, and it's a matter of if you're trying to wake somebody up to the ME in your life, it's just a matter of finding something that they are 100% positive that they
Yeah.
know, like a certain song lyric or whatever. But what I find with people I know is the conversation only goes so far, and I'm just the oddball. And magic is, people don't believe in magic, and I'm like, hey, it's not magic, and I give them the parable of my cell phone, taking it back 100 years. And they still just say, "Well, I don't believe in magic. I don't believe in magic. Sorry."
Don't
Well, I
believe
didn't
in
want to
magic.
believe in it either, but you know, it's definitely not necessarily any. It's certainly some kind of a black magic. It's like quantum witchcraft is a term that I like to use
Yeah, I agree.
because it's not being done by us, and it brings us around to the, oh well, we can create our own reality. Well, I want to hear that story about somebody who created their ideal wife, or
Yeah.
has the ability to fly maybe now. Anybody in the
Yeah.
community does anybody know anybody, any ME people that can fly? Because I'd like
Yeah.
to, maybe I'll entertain that idea if somebody can fly now.
Good luck.
Right.
I
Let me
mean,
create a bigger paycheck. I want to create less taxes in New York. I'm going to work on that tonight.
yeah, me too. Yeah, I think I'm gonna work on my physique and my health, and I'll probably be really, really good looking by tomorrow, and have a lot of money.
Oh, you guys. I'm just gonna work on manifesting a love for the Lord in my life. How's that?
Well, I
That
mean,
sounds great.
yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, what I would probably honestly do if I was able to do something like that, which I do not think is possible at
No,
all,
I know you were kidding. I knew you were kidding. I knew that.
is I would probably want to, fix my Bible back to the way I remember
Oh,
it.
that would be nice. Yeah.
For all of us that are being called crazy for saying the Bible changed, and I've even been told I'm blaspheming the Lord
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
even saying that. I would love to be able to change my Bible back. I believe there's enough of us that would want, all of our scripture back to the way that we remember it. That if we were able to do that, it would have done manifested, back to the way it was.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I
Get
just,
our wineskins back.
yeah, exactly, and judge not lest ye be judged.
Yes.
It just keeps going. There's so many.
Have him crush. Have Jesus crush instead of bruise the.
Yeah, instead of
But
tables, they would be tablets again.
yes. Yes.
Noah would never ever be known as Noe anywhere in the
No.
Bible.
The crushed the one there in Genesis is pretty big because I mean it really works out to a tie now, and it
Yeah,
takes away the victory of Christ. You
right.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's pretty huge.
It's
Pretty
pretty
big one.
obvious that who's behind that then if that's the case. It's like if they're changing it to the opposite of what it should
Yeah.
mean. I
well,
mean, just like judge not lest least you not be judged. I showed a Seventh-day Adventist that in the Bible. I was like, well, I have some questions about it. I want to go look at this certain passage, and he just told me to find it in his Bible and just read it. And I read it the way it is now. It's changed, and he didn't see any problem with that. And that's why if he doesn't know that, then who does? I mean, this guy was a pastor, and that's one of the
Yeah.
most popular, common that anybody would know. People
Yeah.
that read the Bible, believe in it or not. Just like the
Yeah.
Lion and the Lamb is another one, and it's always the most popular, the biggest quote in the movie, one of the most
yeah.
popular quotes in the Bible passages. It's
Well,
always the biggest one.
it kind of depends on who you ask when it comes down to the Bible. Some people believe that you can turn every page and just tear the whole thing apart and everything's changed. But I'm not going to say any names, but I do not believe that at all because I've seen things, and there's other people that's seen things that are well versed in their Bible, and we know that it has not changed certain things for sure. 100%, it has not changed. Like I'll give you an example. When Jesus is he's I don't know exactly where it's at in the Bible. I probably should before I say anything, but when he's talking about sup, you sup with me, I sup with you, he's talking about eating supper. It's been said that the word sup is a sexual word, and he's talking
What?
sexual things.
Oh
Uh,
no.
and that is not true. I mean, I seen that verse. It was on a plaque in my house when I was a kid. Okay, I know better.
Yeah.
A matter of fact, I'll pull up my Bible Gateway, and I'll find the verse, and I know that it's not dirty. Okay, I mean, and it really gets to me when people are portraying that to be dirty when I know better.
Yeah. Well, that's taken to things in out of context, really, honestly.
Right. I
Hey,
mean,
some of these
go
some of
ahead.
these same people that there could be you know infiltration of certain people in the Mandela effect community that are saying, hey, yeah, this is real, but maybe they're taking it to a new level to discourage Bibles. I wouldn't want to think that, but when you put a
Or
face in a with the name and stuff, and you put your face out there, maybe you're less likely to fall into that category.
what I think it truly is it's one of two things. It is people who are being led by a spirit that's not the Lord, or it's people that just don't know their Bible well enough to be out there doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, and I hate to say that. I'm not putting anybody down,
Mm-mm.
but when I know, I know. Like Revelation right here, Revelation 3:20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him. Okay, they're trying to say I will come into him is dirty, and I
Oh
will
man.
sup with him and
Oh
he with
man.
me. Okay, that is not dirty. He's talking about breaking bread with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean that's what it comes down to, and it just
Did
it
they
just
even
bothers
did they
me.
even use the Strongs to make these allegations?
Yes, the word sup evidently has some type of something that they can misconstrue
Oh
as dirty.
no. Oh my goodness.
But the Stroms has changed too, okay? So maybe that could have been done intentionally to make it look like something like that. Who knows? I mean, I don't know.
Well,
that
words
sounds
have
like
different meanings too. Go ahead, but Stone.
oh, that sounds like perfectly normal to me. And I'll be honest, like come into me. I've seen that more than one time, and that was just the kind of the language back then.
Yep.
And that's coming from somebody who's not as grounded in scripture as you guys are. I'm a
Yeah.
relatively new Christian,
No, that.
and I can tell you that doesn't sound weird to me.
Mm-mm.
No, I mean, because there's nothing weird about it. I mean, like I said, this was on a plaque at my house, and we had a lot of stuff hanging around the house that was scripture. We had the Ten Commandments. We had one that I don't know that it was actually a piece of scripture, but it had to do with a wisdom and just a lot of other things. I don't know if mom can remember what I'm talking about. I know she's in the room. But the plaque when we lived on Maryland Avenue, it hung, I think, in the dining room. It was a wooden plaque with a copper or bronze front. If you can remember what that said, it was something about wisdom to know the difference and all this. If you know what I'm talking about,
That sounds like the Serenity prayer for. I think it's called the Serenity prayer for
is
the 12 step. Pro,
is it in the Bible?
uh, no, the
Okay.
wisdom to grant me the wisdom. It's a prayer. Grant me the yeah. It is yeah. Your mom says it is the Serenity prayer.
Oh, okay. So I can pull that up. Let me pull that up. I just always thought that was really really cool. I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The Serena. Oh, well, it popped right up. Okay. Serenity Pair. Yeah, God. Okay, yeah, God. God grant me the wisdom. Yeah. Okay. Or God grant me the courage. Yeah. Okay. We'll just pull it up right here. To accept the things I cannot change. Here it is. Can y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Yes.
And that's all ours said, but let's go ahead and read the rest of it. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as the pathway to peace, taking as he did the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it,
Mm.
trusting that He will make all things right if I surrender to His will,
Wow.
that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with Him forever in the next. Amen.
Wow.
Oh, that's
I don't
great.
think
I
I've ever
like that.
seen the whole thing. That's really nice, actually.
Yeah, I really, really like that. I'm going to go ahead and save that to, let's see, I'm going to put it into, we'll just put it into, I'll go ahead and put it in Bible verses. That way I know where it's at. But yeah, I really like that. So, I'm
I
gonna
I really
remember.
like the rest of it. I mean, I like it was fine just the first bit that gets quoted all over the place, but seeing the rest of it's really talking about his heart and our heart towards him. So I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why the whole prayer wasn't put out on most things. I mean, that is really cool. I like it.
Hmm.
Okay, let's stop sharing that so we can get to talking again. um, so, you wanna get back to talking about backmasking a little bit? Do you know anything about that, Dust?
I don't know about backmasking. No, I don't.
Oh, you don't.
I'm here to
Uh,
learn on that stuff.
Right, right. I mean, what I wanted to talk about more than anything is, as a musician and somebody that, I mean, just loves rock and roll, I love bluegrass. Um, I love, some folk music. I'm not big on newer country, but I like older country. And whenever you come to find out that all of these things have been perverted and made in a way to deceive you, when you don't know that it's deceiving you, is it's really sneaky. Number one, and number two, it seems like that it's not enough for them to poison our body with all of the stuff that they're putting in our foods. You know, they're poisoning us with these high fructose corn syrups, and even the stuff that you get that is supposed to be the good sugar is not good for you.
Mhm.
Salt is a poisoning. Fluoride, uh, it makes you dumber. um, they have this stuff that's in plastic that if you drink anything that's in plastic a lot, that it can actually start changing the chromosomes in your body and make you more susceptible to maybe being attracted to the same sex.
I've heard
And
of that.
this has been proven. Um,
Yeah.
they've actually done it to frogs, and they no longer have anything to do with their female counterparts. They want only thing to do with the male counterparts. Um, so this is not a myth. And this is just one of many things. I mean, they have vaccinations out there that are turning kids. Um, it's giving them all sorts of weird diseases. There's kids that are gave vaccinations and they never talk again after that.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it's just so sad. And the thing is, they're doing all these things, and people are so ignorant that they don't even know that this is going on. And then when it happens to their kid, or their kid turns autistic, they're so dumbed down that they believe that he was autistic the whole time, that it just didn't manifest until he was 5 years old or 3 years old. Whenever why ain't they? Why are they not putting this together? Why are not? Why ain't the doctors speaking out against these things? I know there's not that all the doctors are not in on it. I just really believe that they're so programmed, and they just don't. I truly believe that they just don't know. or they just
Yeah,
don't want to believe. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
right. They don't want to have to look into that because they probably just don't think that these pharmaceutical conglomerates could be that evil, and they probably justify it by thinking, well, gee, if they are, then this is my whole career. This is my life. Like they probably just don't want to. It's a form of I don't know if I want to say cognitive dissonance, but it's like a form of just kind of going with your regular program and being a creature of habit, what your career and what you do.
Yeah, and
And
go ahead.
oh no, I was just going to say the vaccination thing is I think that the Lord can do absolutely anything through prayer. And if you know of somebody in your life, your family, friends that are going to get their kids vaccinated, pray against it. What harm is that to do that? I did that with my daughter, who's a very smart girl. She's very advanced. She's 22. She's got a 2-year-old son now, and he's my grandson. And she's really good with a lot of things. She's very smart when it comes to health, and she's a very into like eating well, and she's almost done with college, even at that age. But when she goes to the doctor with her new son, the doctor's much older, probably older than me, and she just has that tendency to just believe kind of what they say. So, and she wants to do some traveling, so she wants to get certain vaccinations, but she's holding off on some, and she just hasn't had the time to really look into it yet, I think.
Yeah.
But when I knew that he was going to get vaccinated, I prayed against what any harm could come to him from that,
Mm.
because these are harmful things. I mean, they're 100% synthetic, and how do you justify something that's 100% synthetic, like, or close to 100%, going into a biological organism and not doing something that it's not supposed to do? But that kind of leads me to backtrack a little bit, Brandon, on what we were talking about before with Trump. And like, yeah, he's saying the news is fake, and that's great. A lot of us know that, and he is anti. From what I hear before the campaign, he's anti vaccinations, and you're like, wow, politician being against vaccine, that doesn't even make sense. Why would he not go with that part of the program? But if you think about how things might shape up with him, he's almost like a scapegoat for these issues. Like, there's people that just hate him so much, and he might prove to be, the fall guy for something bad to come to this country, because everyone's saying how he's, he's going to mess things up and he's going to bring us to war. He's saying all these statements and stuff. Well, he's aligning himself with fake news, and he's against it, and vaccinations, and he's against it. And he turns out to be somebody that is really hated because he makes some maybe mistakes in high places. Then the legitimacy of saying, hey, the news is fake, or, oh, vaccinations are bad, people are going to put you right in that category with Donald Trump. So it's a way of
Mm.
debunking these issues in a way, because, yeah, you could say the news is fake all day, but it's not going to change. Even as the president, you could say that now, but it's not going to eliminate Fox News or CNN. They're still going strong. I'm sure their numbers are inflated as far as viewers and stuff at this point, but it scares me because some issues that he's saying that you would think somebody in his position shouldn't be saying. Um, some of those issues maybe are put onto him as a way of debunking it, like a reverse psychology debunking psyop or something like that.
Oh yeah, I
And
mean, I totally agree with that.
I can see
we'll
that.
see what happens, like, with the future and what the future holds for him and stuff. But it just, I don't know.
I
That's
don't
what it
know.
seems like to
I
me.
see even I see even a lot of people who are just so just so anti-Trump and everything. I mean, it's taken a while. It's coming slowly. They're coming along slowly. But even though they're still very much anti-Trump, most people are getting very disenchanted about the media and what the lies that they're telling. So I don't know that I think at this point in time, it'll take a lot for people to say, "Oh no," to regain their trust in media over.
That's true. You're right about that because it did start before him. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Oh
This
yeah.
whole fake news idea.
yeah,
I mean, it's state-run news basically. It's just state-run news, just like we have.
But
They have it in Soviet Union, but they don't have. They're not
it's
as
not
inclined
official.
to. Yeah, it's not official.
right.
It's not
It's not
out there.
official over here. That's all.
And
Yeah,
I mean, just like I was saying earlier, a thing that scares me about him because I'm not for Trump. A matter of fact, I was definitely not his biggest supporter at all. But the thing is that he doesn't have traditional Christian values, and he's being portrayed, by the right as the Christian Savior. Whenever like we said earlier, that he does not say that he's ever repented, and he's very, very prideful, and he thinks that well, if I mess up, then I just go out there and make it right, and I think
yeah,
that's what fixes it. And all these things are very dangerous because people listen to a president.
yes, that's true.
And,
Right.
when you have the president saying things like that, you have the Pope saying that atheists can be forgiven, that he forgives them, and they can go to heaven. You have him saying that hell is not real, speaking blasphemous words against Jesus Christ. Um, it's just, I mean, I really truly believe it's a sign of the times.
I was just, yeah, definitely. All of this, everything you're saying right there is just, I
I
mean,
mean,
that,
go ahead.
no, you're right. It's just, I mean, talk about the Mandela effect being a signpost pointing, people to where we're at and, or whatever, to Christ, hopefully. But I mean, to look at the Pope and what he's saying, and not realize, where we are in the timeline and stuff. It's just, yeah,
I
pretty
mean, I
obvious.
mean, look at the church. I mean, not the church, the White House when Obama was in there. Uh, he had the Gay Pride Day, the Transsexual Day. They had a day where it was called the Rainbow something Day. They had transsexuals with horns. I mean, literal horns on their head, teaching children, teaching children. Okay, I mean, come on, what is going on in this country?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I know that George Soros has his hands in everything, and he's trying to cause a civil war. Um, but when I look at things, all the things I'm seeing in Hollywood, I'm seeing them in the president. I'm seeing them in the Pope. Uh, I'm seeing them in the last president. I'm seeing them everywhere. And then you're seeing prophecy being fulfilled left and right. There's signs in the skies. There's rumors of wars. There's wars and rumors of wars. Uh, I mean, there's just so much prophecy being fulfilled, and the falling away is happening. I mean, happening right now. People. I mean, how blind do you have to be to not understand that we're in them days?
Yeah,
To say if we got 5 years, a year, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, no man will know that date. So
no,
I don't know, when it's going to be, but I can tell you right now that it's definitely began, and I think that it began quite a few years ago.
hmm,
Uh, and even though I'm not a big Trump supporter at all, um, he's I have to say he's the lesser of two evils.
that's
Uh,
definite.
you know, I mean, because the first thing he done is he did end the gays in the military, which that's not for me to judge, but it's in the Bible. It specifically says that's a sin. Okay,
Hmm.
and than the things that he is doing, like his wife. I can't even remember a first lady saying the Lord's Prayer, especially saying it correctly in the
Correctly,
last.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know of one. I can't even remember one.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So, there is good things coming out of him, but it's kind of, things of good and evil. Because if you look at his fruits, they're not great. You know what I mean? That's putting it very nicely.
Yeah.
But I want to get at another thing, the Trump derangement syndrome. I truly believe that that is a mixture of two things. The George Soros coming in and making people more extreme and paying them to go out and protest. This has been proven. But the ones that are actually have these feelings in their heart that are out there screaming at the top of their lungs, "Ah!" and all and all that crazy stuff, I truly believe that they are demonized, a lot of them,
Mm.
because of maybe the things they've done in their life. They have opened themselves up to either demonic oppression or even maybe demonic possession. And the devil was smart enough to wait until the exact right time to either oppress, or possess these people all at the same time. Boom. And you've seen, I think, I swear, I seriously think maybe you've seen a demonic possession all at one time. And that's what Trump derangement syndrome is. Because you see people from the left moving over to the right because they don't understand what has happened. These people have went crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. I never thought about that much. Like people that were really, really into Clinton and stuff. Like, what do they think of all this? It's crazy. I mean, I found my feeling is that the powers that be kind of decided last minute who they were going to put in there, and I only say
Hmm.
that because before the election, Trump and Hillary went to they were at some dinner with the Jesuits, and it's like a Jesuit dinner that they had, and Trump was like kind of ranking on her a little bit in front of everybody, making fun of her. And it wasn't decided yet either way, whether it's been decided by somebody else or the American voters. I think it's prearranged who gets to be in there personally. But according to what I believe, as far as that political system goes, I think maybe they decided last minute that Hillary was too dirty, and or if they didn't decide last minute, they probably decided 30 years ago where he
Right,
was going.
right.
But what I can't really point to in scripture, because like I said, you guys are more well versed than I am, and that's something that I want to work on. But didn't God work on Nebuchadnezzar as a leader back then? Wasn't he like a evil leader that he was very powerful and
He worked through Nebuchadnezzar.
he worked
Yeah.
through him somehow, even though
Yes.
Nebuchadnezzar was not, I'm asking, I'm not telling you, I'm asking because I want to know, was he Bible or not? He was just some leader and God worked through him. I don't really
We
understand.
we lost you there for a minute, buddy.
Yeah.
Was Nebuchadnezzar like just another leader back then that God worked through to do good things? I don't know.
No. No, God used Nebuchadnezzar mostly. I mean, I'm not I don't know this very clearly, honestly, but Nebuchadnezzar was not a king of the Jews. He was the king over whatever place they were excised to, um, or taken into captivity to when Jesus or so Nebuchadnezzar was set up by God, yes, as the king over the people who took the Israelites into captivity as they sinned against God in their own land. So God had them pulled out of their land because they were I doing idolatry and stuff like that.
I don't know.
So he was
Go ahead, because I was going somewhere else. Go ahead.
so he was just he was kind of used as a tool to maybe help other people through him because he was like a powerful leader and he made
Help
decisions and
people.
stuff. Or
Yeah, I don't. So he
I'm
was
just trying
not.
to equate
He
that to
wasn't.
Trump.
I don't know how I could equate that to Trump because
No,
he
that's what I
was
was trying to
not.
do, but I don't think that's how it is, to be honest.
No, because he was. Yeah, and he wasn't. He wasn't that good. He didn't. He wasn't. So he did bad things, but he didn't like. He actually did some good things for like he. But his good things that he did seemed to be kind of selfish. Yeah, they were all self-serving and stuff.
Hmm.
Basically,
Right.
they weren't like the only thing I can think of good that he did was to pull out a handful of the Israelite youth and to basically give them whatever they wanted and stuff like that, or not, no, to get to train them in his ways basically, and to get them to be basically to try to get God, I guess, on his side through them, I think, actually. So that's, I mean, the only good part about that was that these kids weren't left in, the way that the other captives were left, but they were kind of brought into the palace with him. But I don't think that that was very good,
No.
you
Oh,
know.
okay. All right. I might have been confused on that one.
Uh.
Somebody equated that somehow to Donald Trump, but like the way I think
Huh.
of it, like why would God need a political leader to do good things through?
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
I,
I mean, I
yeah.
like to think the underdog, is good and stuff, and but I just think that system is just so tight that somebody for real or somebody doing anything good can't just slide in there. I just don't believe that. Maybe it sounds over cynical of me, but I think that and then I see this thing with Donald Trump. The first time he went over to meet, he was actually in South Korea, and this was a few months ago, maybe. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but he had that big letter. Remember that weird big letter that the South Korean leader gave to Donald Trump, and there was a picture of them two together, and he had the envelope, like this really big envelope that he was holding in front of him.
No. I
Oh,
don't.
I
Brendan, you got
must
to
have
check
missed that
that out.
one.
You guys got to check that out definitely because he's holding an envelope in front of him that the South Korean leader gave to him, and the mainstream headline was like, Trump's big letter. Like it was all weird because what is in this letter? He gave him this really oversized envelope, and he's holding it. Trump's holding it in front of his waist, basically. And when you Google image Masonic apron, the Masonic apron that they give you when you're first initiated, I guess, into the Freemasons, you get a blank white apron and it's supposed to represent maybe purity and it's like a lamb skin or something. Well, it looks
Uh-huh.
just like that envelope. It's got a little upside down triangle on it, just like the backside of an envelope does. And it's going around your waist. They wear it right around their waist. And if you look at that picture of Donald Trump with a huge envelope, he's holding this huge envelope that looks just like an beginner initiate there, right in the same place where they wear it.
Lost you again, buddy. When you said beginner or something.
Well, he's holding this envelope, this blank white envelope that's huge, right in front of his waist, right where you would wear a Masonic apron. You tie it right around your waist, and it
Oh.
looks like it. It's the same. That's
I know what you're
that's like
talking about now. I seen it actually last night. Believe it or not, I know what.
yeah, like how's that a coincidence? Really, like that to me is a message to conspiracy theorists and not the general public. But that to me is saying, hey, look, yeah, I'm in this group, and if you think that it represents this or that, you're just going to be further marginalized because it's just one more weird thing coming out of your mouth.
Well, you know what
But
I really think is, I think that there's many of these groups, and they're all warring against each other, and they have different beliefs. Especially when it comes down to globalism and stuff like that. I truly don't think he's a globalist. And that's the globalism thing is the biggest threat to Christianity right now, because then you have the one world government, the one world religion, and all this is spoke about in the Bible. And when these things happen, then we're headed to, we're at the very, very end. So I hope that he's not pulling one over on everybody. But like I said, I'm not really a Trump supporter or non-supporter. I'm gonna have to wait and see what he does by the end of his term. I don't even think he's going to do two terms. I think he's going to bow out after the first term, because that's what his whole life has been. Get a big job, uh, do it cheaper than anybody else can do it, and get it done in half the time anybody else can do it. And that's why he don't sleep but 4 or 5 hours a night, because that's the type of guy he is. He's a workaholic. And I truly believe he thinks he can straighten the country out in 4 years, bow out, and the word on the street is you like that, the word on the street. The word on the street is it's going to be Nikki Haley and the vice president running. So we'll find
Well, I
out.
never thought of it like that, Brandon. That's a pretty good analysis, actually, because I wasn't thinking about how Trump does that. Like, you know, oh, I'll do
Yeah.
that in half the time, and
He
whatever's
does
probably
kind of do
based
that,
on,
doesn't he?
yeah, huh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you
maybe
have
there'll
to
be too
think he's
much of
pretty old.
backlash,
Yeah. And plus,
right?
I have a feeling that he's just tired of fighting with, he's having to fight with both sides, the Democrats,
Yeah.
and the Republicans, and the globalists, and he's probably going to be tired after 4 years of that. I would just, assume,
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That makes a lot of sense. Actually, I'm changing my view on that because my original gut instinct was like he's going to be there for 8 years, and this could be a good way to dry up like QAnon too. If he steps out in 3 years from now, then where does that leave this QAnon character if he even is a real person?
Hmm.
Right. And what would he be like, 79 if he stayed? I just don't know that he'll stay. Just looking at him, over the years, the way that he's conducted business, I just don't really see it. But I think that the bigger story here is right now, if any of this is real, because I still believe that, he may be the exception, and I'm not sold on that, but that it's all a type of control system, a script to control us. But it come out 3 days ago, but it's being suppressed by the mainstream or lamestream media that Hillary Clinton met with Putin before the presidency when they were predicting that she was going to win for sure. She met with him for two
Seriously,
days. Met with him for
really?
2 days. There's all kinds of pictures of them, and they are trying to suppress this to the gills. So the story that they put on Trump, it seems like it was her that done it.
Oh my goodness.
We already know about the uranium that she sold.
Yeah.
That she really didn't even have. She didn't really have the clearance to do it, but she done it. And it's just starting to look more and more like that she was the one that was working with the Russians, and they thought they would throw it over on Trump to deflect from what she had done.
Maybe. I mean, she's a career criminal, in my opinion.
Mhm.
She's a Lucky Luciano or John
Yeah.
Gotti or something.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Nothing personal against her, but I don't know her obviously. But all you gotta do is look in her eyes, man. She's out of her mind.
And have you heard the Anthony Bourdain where he had done an interview, and in his interview he talks about Bill Clinton and Hillary, but he calls Bill Clinton a rapist, Harvey Weinstein a rapist, and hopes that they both uh, get hope that they both find justice and are executed or something to that effect, and
Wow, man.
that he had felt the wrath of the Clinton machine and hoped that he didn't have to go through it again, and also said that he would never kill himself. And
Wow.
uh, 3 weeks later, he was dead.
Just another body into the body count.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, he was
The
suicide. I mean,
Clintons there, you know.
yeah, I mean, I truly think that he was suicided. I mean, I think that they killed him. I really do. I mean, and I'm not one of these people that think that every celebrity that dies was killed, but Anthony Bourdain, I'm starting to think, because if you think about it, think about this for a minute. Anthony Bourdain is a lifetime liberal, and he starts seeing that these people are hurting children. They are, in his words, Bill Clinton is a serial rapist. I don't know if he meant children or grown-ups or both. Um, you know, he's seeing how evil the Democratic Party is. Okay, if he was to slide over to the Republican Party, he would bring so many people with him. It would. I mean, he would. I mean, he would bring a lot of the black vote with him too, because whenever. I mean, he was even talking about how they had been lying to the blacks for 100 years and claiming they were going to help them and laughing at them behind their back. I mean, he would have been more than a Kanye West stepping out for Trump. He would have been, he would have been the guy that could have really brought some votes over to Trump, where he definitely could have won another election if he wanted to win.
Well, does it have? I mean, I don't. I mean,
Well,
I
go
don't have
ahead.
a whole. I don't have a whole lot to say about this because I know that a lot of people think that there's not really a political parties and stuff like that going on, and I really haven't looked into it very much. But I do know that there has been a lot of damage done to the family and to the black community in particular, um, that has been done through lies and has been very detrimental. And if we can get I don't know necessarily that it has to be Trump, but it does seem like there is a turning, an understanding that's coming around where people are starting to realize how I mean how um, negative all the programs, all the uh, free money, all the big government stuff, how detrimental that has been to certain sectors of the community and to the family in general.
Right.
And if we can get so, I mean, honestly, I really don't know how that all plays into God's timeline because I really don't know whether he has it in mind. Okay, so let me just put it this way: we are here, we must occupy. So, and that means that we must behave. That we don't need to. We don't know that hour of the day that God's going to be here, so we need to act as though, behave as though we have generations to come. I think I've said this before, and so we should be hopeful that we can turn around that degradation of the family and of the certain sectors of the community of the
Right.
certain communities,
Right.
um, bring them back up, set things back straight. Even though we may not have time to do that, I understand that, but that
I,
is
Oh
what we're
yeah,
called to
yeah. I
do.
would say that's a hopeful thing. You know, I would definitely agree with that.
yeah, I wanna say two things. I wanna say to Professor Three, I totally agree that the two party system, they are fake and they are there to divide and conquer. But I also want to say that I'm hoping that Trump is not part of this and that he's
Hmm.
stepping out against the globalist and trying to stop some of these things that are, one world government, one world religion coming about as quickly as the globalists are hoping that they will. But as for it being a script to control people, I'm in 100% agreement that the last 50 years, that's what it's been, other than maybe John F. Kennedy. Uh, okay. Now, from there, what I want to say is, I wanna talk base, to Christianity, and to the factions. Um, I believe that we're in them days, them very very last days. I guess I made Professor Three by or mad. All
Well, he
right,
might be saying may by
all
because
right,
some
all
people
right,
are leaving.
all right, buddy.
Other people are leaving.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, guys. I don't know. Trump may be, maybe not. I don't know. I'm hoping
He
he's
said it
not.
to Matt. He says so.
I mean, that's all I'm saying. I'm hoping he's not. Okay, but anyways, but what I'm saying is that I hope that I mean, I want to talk to the Christians, and I think that we're in them last days, and I truly think that we all need to come together. The little things that may separate us, even the Catholics. I don't agree with all the things they do and the way that they do them, especially the Vatican. But I think that we're all fighting this same evil. If you worship Jesus Christ, Yeshua, Yahweh, I feel like that we all need to come together and quit fighting over petty things. We all need to quit judging one another so much. The Bible says not to do that. I mean, unless it's a righteous judgment, and I'm not hearing much righteous judgment. I'm just hearing people with opinions, and we're just like biting each other's heads off whenever we're in the middle of a war against good and evil. And if we can't come together as Christians, then we're going to be destroyed. Divide and conquer. I mean, that's what the enemy's doing right now, and he is dividing and conquering us. And I think that the only way that we can truly stand strong is to come together. And I don't have to agree with everything you say, but I'm not going to judge you. And I'm not going to tell you where you're wrong or what you're wrong about. We can all have civilized conversations, and we can disagree or agree to disagree. And if you say something that maybe I had a certain view on that is a better view, then I'm more willing, I'm very willing to take that into consideration. And if it makes more sense than what I was saying, then I will take upon that view and say that I was wrong.
Mhm.
And I just think that that we need to quit being so polarized in the Christian community, and we need to come together. I mean, that's what the Lord's been putting on my heart, that we all need to come together and quit bickering over all the little stuff.
Yeah, man, definitely. I mean, even this conversation tonight, like, my opinions on certain things are a little different now because we don't know how long that this system is going to go on. So it's easy to think that it's how could it get any worse,
Mhm.
but it doesn't mean that good things won't be happening along the way.
Right, right.
And
And
there's so few of us. I mean, between the Mandela effect community that's online, it just seems like you would think that it's huge, but it's really not.
No.
We're like 1% of 1%, and
yeah.
especially when you add in, the Christian Mandela effect community is pretty small.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even you making a point there. I mean, let's take out the Christian thing. Even in the Mandela effect community, most of us are open minded, but there's a certain group of people. I'm not going to say a name, but they, you know, they're not very open minded, especially if you're religious at all. They will ask the people that go on their websites to not be around us anymore. I'm not going to say who they are, but if anybody knows anything about the all the factions of the Mandela effect, they know who I'm talking about. And I just don't think that's the way to be. I mean, I think us conspiracy theorists and Mandela affected, we all need to come together too. I mean, come on. There's just not that many of us, and just because I'm not sold on flat Earth or something like
Right.
that, I mean, is that a reason to quit talking to me or coming around on my channel? Uh, just because you believe in flat Earth or whatever that I may not agree with, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to watch your channel. Just because you're not a Christian or maybe you're a Muslim, it doesn't mean that I won't support you. I may not be on your channel listening to your Muslim sermons because it's not in line with my beliefs. But if you're Mandela affected, I support you 100% on that. And I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong in your beliefs. I'm just going to, stay in my beliefs and, try to lead people to Christ because that's what I believe my calling is. And, I believe in my God and I'll never deny him. And you probably feel the same if you're a Muslim, but I do support y'all. And I feel like that everybody just needs to come together because we're in a fight against evil. And, we just all had to come together and try to be, I don't know, more open minded, even though we're very open minded. There's just too many factions, and I think that we could open up our minds a little more. And that's pretty much all I was wanting to say about that. If anybody wants to add anything to it, they're more than welcome. 'Cause-
I think for me personally, I think that that it falls right on the line of for me personally, I just keep the truth, um, keep it at the truth. You know what I'm saying is that I don't. Uh, we are small, and we are, just a few of us, and I mean, it seems like we get fewer and fewer actually, and everything like that. I I know I know God is in control. And as long as we're each seeking the Lord and that we're with our heart, earnestly seeking Him, and that we're keeping the truth, then um, that's where, for me, that's where the line is that uh, um, that to keep the what's important. The truth on the forefront, and then the little things can fall off to the side. You see what I'm saying? The other
oh
things,
yeah,
those can just fall off to the side.
well said, well said.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't have
because
said it any better.
there's been divisions, pre Mandela effect in between Christianity and New Age thinking. But I don't know. I was just back up to the Bible and kind of check it with that as my ultimate guide of kind of what's going on in the world.
Yeah, and
Yes,
cowboy, it doesn't bother me either, brother. I'm just trying to say that I truly believe that we all need to come together, that we're stronger together than divided is all I'm saying. And just like Dust said, these small things can fall away, that as long as we stand by what's important and the truth. I think that I said it how she was saying it.
pretty much.
Pretty much. I'm trying really, really hard.
I think that was pretty close to, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be discouraging there.
No, you're good. we hadn't laughed as much as we normally do, but we didn't have a waking saint telling jokes, so
he just he just has to push buttons, and then we can just
Well, guys, I'm gonna do a shout out. I was gonna do one when we had about 18 people in here, but I didn't. I didn't get to it. And then we're probably gonna wrap it up. So if anybody wants to be shouted out, type something in chat, and I'll shout it out.
Well, I can't see the chat, but I heard you say something about Cowboy, so I want to give a shout out personally to Cowboy, my brother. My
All
brother
right.
from another coast.
Okay.
He's on my coast.
Yeah. Well,
A lot of you guys are on the West Coast, man. I'm jealous.
Yeah, we do have a lot over here.
It makes it hard for me to stay up at night. Like, definitely a little sleepier because I'm like hanging in there on Scarab's channel till midnight, and everybody's just getting started.
East Coasters.
Yeah, I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I'm an old country boy. All right.
Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just getting ready to do the shout out.
No, I was just going to say you're an hour ahead, I guess, right? For as far as Eastern Standard Time.
It's 7:25 here.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
So what are we on? Same time?
Oh, we're on the same time, yeah.
Yeah,
well, actually, I'm a minute behind, 7:24.
Well, mine's
1 minute behind you.
I don't think that's the time zone thing.
Well, the time, if you think about it, the time zone shouldn't have like increments like that. It should be second by second. Like if I walk,
could you imagine?
Let's say 20 feet west, it should be 10 seconds ahead or something.
Let's go with that. Let's petition for that to take place.
I think we can get that done.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I'm gonna go through here, and I'm there's not many in participants, so I'm gonna just move down through here. All right. We have Matt Long. We have Mary Lane. We have Cowboy. Let's see. Wake Up News. Professor 3, which I think left. But let's see. We have Lone Oak Lady sporting a wrench. Love you, Mom. Let's see. Walking Wolf. We have Armor Up, sporting a wrench. We also have Stone Bender as a guest, and we are Dust, sporting a wrench.
I made it into the. Okay.
I think you did. Are you?
Cool, man.
I chatted once, I think, at least.
You do have a wrench, don't you, Dust?
I do. I have a dust. I have a wrench, yes.
You have a Dust?
I have a dust, too.
If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. I apologize. But evidently there's some people lurking because I don't know. I don't see them. I'll go ahead and give Greg Oliver a shout out too, because I didn't get a chance to give him one out. And James TV wasn't here earlier. He had to take off. But
did you say Walking Wolf?
I believe so. But
okay,
you did.
I just did.
Yeah, you just did. Stonebender, thank you for coming on, brother. I like to have you on again sometime. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks, man. Sure, I'd love to be on.
And Dust, I always love it when you're on. You're very in depth with the Bible, and you have some great things that you say to counsel people into thinking and just basically setting things straight and making them more clear for people to understand.
Well, I always like to be here for you, with you. So.
Well, I thank you for coming. And anybody didn't hit that thumbs up, hit the thumbs up or hit the thumbs down. I don't care. Either one, just hit one.
Take aim and fire.
That's right. Fire. But the only thing I want to say is be in the world, not of the world. And trust your memories, guys. Trust your memories. Don't let them take them from you, because that's the most important thing. They're trying to tell us that we're confabulating and everything else, but we're not. We know what we know. Trust your memories. Have a good night, guys. I love you all, and I may do another show tomorrow if I'm not out of town. If I'm out of town, then I won't be. But if I'm still here, I'll do a show tomorrow. I don't know with who, but we'll do one. Y'all have a good night, and God bless you all.
God bless, guys. Thank you so much. It was great being here.
God bless.
Take care. We are Dustus. Nice to talk to you again.